way to identify a proposal and move forward in a partnership approach. And you know, that would provide an open process for whatever proposals you want to have come in. And so, and also looking at the land use plan and those elements is obviously going to be a companion to all this, which shows a lower, generally focuses on a lower intensity type of use. So, you know, if you decide you want to look at some alternatives, you'd open yourself up for some proposals and then decide if there's anything within that you feel is worthy of further development. And then we would do that sort of like we did on a smaller scale related to the 5 points. And that would be a long-term lease arrangement. If you want to do a sale, the value of this property obviously far exceeds the thresholds by which you would end up needing to have a sealed bid process and select from that basically the high offer. If you want to do a straight out sale of property, we've thought if you want to have more of a direct involvement in determining that ultimate use, you're probably going to want to do some sort of longer term lease arrangement.
Well, what's the process for tearing the buildings down?
Just tell us to do it,
Tell
we'll
them.
get some.
Okay, good
Yeah.
I
enough.
think that's everybody
good.
agrees with that.
Okay, good. I just wasn't sure if it was the last
Okay,
Tear it down.
gentlemen and ladies, I apologize that we're running late, and so I'm going to limit you to 2 minutes as I did the other group. So, Stephen Murray.
Steve Murray, I'm the Executive Director of Community Housing Partnership. I appreciate the words here tonight. I'm not here to convince you in any way, shape, fashion, or form whether you want to do housing on that site or not, but I would like to speak to the wording of Resolution 2016-35.
You should have
I
something.
think, number one, that you need to sincerely consider the fact that this property is part of the hard bargain neighborhood. It has been identified in previous city maps as being part of the hard bargain neighborhood. And other than Brandy, I heard no comment at all about the fact that it's part of Hard Bargain. The citizens of Hard Bargain sincerely hope that you consider that, because they're very interested in what you're going to do with this piece of property. Secondly, there's been much in the text over the period of time that you've been discussing this about the cemeteries and about the use that might be used close to those cemeteries. But there's been little consideration about the needs for those cemeteries that both of those cemeteries have brought up. And your resolution doesn't deal with that as well. Both of those cemeteries have needs that they have expressed publicly in your meetings on what they're needing. We certainly have spoken to the issues of affordable housing and the fact that housing is a low-impact use, which is not being talked about in a number of the text documents that have been provided for you. So all I'm asking for you to do tonight is to consider that you add language to the resolution that deals with those issues, as well as states that housing would be an appropriate use on the Hill. You've stated every other thing would be an appropriate use on the Hill, but you have omitted housing out of that text in the resolution. Thank you.
Okay. Mort Stein.
I'm Mort Stein, and I'm on a couple of boards, but what I've done is I'm going to read what I'm reluctant to say anything on this issue before you this afternoon, because I'm afraid that my passion for housing issues will take over my thoughts and words. That is why I have written this presentation down. There have been several housing studies with recommendations made over the years that have documented the problems of availability of housing for our residents and others who work in Franklin. There have been surveys taken that document residents' desire for housing that is attainable for those who work here. Every study and every survey come to the same conclusion, that there is a strong support for workforce housing and that there is a lack of availability for such housing. Every survey the city has conducted ranks traffic congestion, as you've just heard previously, as the greatest concern of the residents in Franklin. Unless housing is made available for people who work here, the traffic congestion will increase exponentially to no matter how many roads the city builds or improves. This transportation, I'm getting off my jam.
Calm down, board, calm down.
It will be useless unless you deal with housing, okay? That's the only thing I'm going off my agenda. The BOMA has not directed staff to prepare a plan for housing. The only plans and ordinances prepared by staff have emphasized better design, more parks, and more road improvements. These are laudable goals. However, the benefits of providing opportunities for a more diverse population to live and work in Franklin and Williamson County is far outweigh the benefits of good design and open spaces. The benefits of the availability for housing for our policemen and women, firemen and women, teachers, and other service workers are immeasurable. The benefits of providing workforce housing near transit stops and the other benefits outlined above is much greater than building a beautiful gateway into the city and providing parking opportunities for those workers and visitors. All I'm requesting from you is to direct staff to prepare a housing plan based on the studies that have been funded by the city and the Chamber of Commerce before you consider the resolution before you. Give them a fairly short timeline to complete the plan. The problems of traffic congestion and providing housing opportunities will become greater as long as the city and the rest of Williamson County continues with the plans and policies they have followed for the past decades.
Okay,
Thank you for
time's
giving
up,
me the
board.
opportunity.
Thanks. Pam Stone?
Hi, I'm Pam Stone. I'm the treasurer of the board for Hard Bargain Association. And Brant Bousquet couldn't be here tonight. And I would like to suggest that you not wait until after the Hillsborough Road widening project and the park, completion of Bicentennial Park is completed to start seriously considering what to do with the Hill property. Affordable and workforce housing is a titanic problem in the city, and if decisions are continued to be tabled, the problem will only continue to grow. The median sales price for a home in Franklin in May 2016 was $464,995. Home prices continue to escalate in Franklin and Williamson County. This is not affordable for most city employees, including teachers, police officers, firefighters, and other who provide services in our community, like Mort was speaking about, like technicians at the hospital, medical offices, people who work in restaurants, that you were talking about the valet services earlier, and college graduates who want to move back to Franklin. And we'll give you an example, a little story here. Jeremiah Rogers, a City of Franklin firefighter, was named Firefighter of the Year last week. He currently lives in Columbia, not Franklin, with his wife and 2 daughters. He would love to move to Franklin so he could live and work in the same community and be near his girls' elementary school, but he can't afford to. He is very interested in buying a single-family home on the hill if it is approved. The location is perfect for work and walking distance, for school for his children. So no cars to consider in that instance. There's a grocery store, a drugstore, and many shops and restaurants within walking distance of the proposed Hill project. The Hill is an ideal place for us to build single-family homes for someone like Jeremiah and his family. I'm just asking you to please consider not waiting to move on with the discussion and planning about the Hill. Time is not on our side, and if we wait till it's ending, then that'll push these projects further and further along, and it'll be years before we could provide some more affordable housing in the Hard Bargain neighborhood.
You're good. That was 2 minutes exactly. Paul?
I'm going to beat that and use less than 2 minutes. I didn't have time to print up T-shirts that say "Save the Metal Buildings." And I'm not with these guys tonight.
They'll give it to you.
Well, anyway, I think you may be missing an opportunity. I'm going to pass this, let him pass it over there. I'm going to give this one to y'all. I had the opportunity to, over 25 years ago, to participate on a development project with a savvy investor. And what he did is he took a industrial building on Moore's Lane behind Barnes & Noble bookstore. He took a metal building, and I've got a picture of it on there. There's an aerial, and then there's an after picture. And it's the Crescent Center building. The metal roof is still actually in use. The concrete slab he didn't change. The steel structure was okay. Now, I'm not going to tell you I can analyze the building, but I don't think you need to tear it down too quickly. You might really entertain and let some developers come forward that could reuse the building before you tear it down. There's lots of potential if the concrete's good and the steel structure is still usable. Now, I haven't heard any building analysis, but what they've done there is now worth several million. And if you've driven by the parking lot, it's packed every day. So I hope you're not making a hasty decision. I'm not here to debate housing or anything like that, but there are people that renovate. You know, that's a big deal here in Franklin. And let me bring up two structures you've seen. One is a big one called the Factory. And when Calvin Leahy started that, he couldn't get a bank to finance it. And I do notice that y'all saved the Shoe Factory shed, so there must be something to that one. So I'll just ask you to consider postponing tearing it down a few more months.
And I've got a question for Mort real quick. Mort, who were you asking to do the plan, the housing plan?
Your planning department.
You were asking us to do a housing
No,
plan?
I'm asking the Big Boma to direct the planning department to prepare a housing plan.
But we wouldn't be, okay, we'll talk about that
What's
later.
wrong with
It
that?
just doesn't seem, all right, that's right.
That's their
No,
job.
we'll talk about it.
Let me just get a feel. Can we do an RFP and just kind of see what we get?
I'm not for that.
I would be for that. But, you know,
Not
you know,
yet.
you know where, you know
I'm
where
not
I
asking for a vote, I'm just kind of,
Yeah.
Okay, the one thing that we have not said, but I remember whenever we were looking at uses in the area, the problem is that the only existing road that goes up there right now is very deep in the floodplain. And let me finish. There's a difference between having something even like a restaurant there instead of a place where people live, because the danger on flooding to people is because the people that live do not get out. They may be able to get out, but do not. They do not.
So we have negotiated with the cemetery by Ty's House to take the road bed that's there and make it worthy, make it, meet code, so that it's an exit, a gated exit, that the fire department or whoever from the city would have the keys, and anyone in that neighborhood could exit during the flood that we had that essentially shut down Hillsborough Road. That's all in our plans and what has been negotiated with the cemetery.
It has been finally negotiated with the cemetery?
No, I wouldn't say it's been finally negotiated, because we're not in any position to finally negotiate anything. But they have been in the discussions with us on a swap of land to do that, which then actually gives them more land to increase the size of the cemetery by giving us land that they cannot use for burial plots right now. And their whole board, Mort was involved in that, has had discussions on that, for that very reason, that we knew we didn't have a viable project unless we did have a way by which we could exit if in fact there was a flood onto Mount Hope Road.
I met with the directors. Miller, he's not here right now, he just left. Miller Jefferson is on that board, and they've all agreed that we could come to a negotiated agreement.
Be continued.
okay, we'll be back at 7:30. I'm sorry, did you want to say something?
Did you
Thank you,
want to
thank you very much.
Okay. Well, I asked, but I didn't get, so.
Well, you got me.
And you can have me tear down the buildings. I'm not ruling out workforce housing being there, but for the time being, I'm not wanting to see anything done.
I'm too. I'm for the ordinance.
Okay, got you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you all for coming.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Breen.
Steve, thank you for that printout.
You like the new pictures?
What?
You like the new pictures?
Yeah. Thank you. That's a good idea.